A few weeks ago, when the shops reopened here in the UK, I went back to my favourite game shop, Vintage Gamer, and I picked up some really exciting stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about, and one of the items that I consider to be one of my personal holy grails of retro video game collecting, this is the SmartCom for the Game Boy. This was made by Datel in the UK, and it's basically a smart PDA for the Game Boy that even allowed you to write your own emails. Even with that description, you might be wondering, why did I pick this up? What makes this so special? Well, I'm actually trying to collect every single one of the games that Datel has made for the Game Boy, so I've actually got all of their actual games here, and if you want to know more about that, I did a whole video on the subject, and I'll put it on the eye in the corner of the video up there, or maybe up there, so go and watch that after you've watched this. Unfortunately though, and I'm really sad to say this, but I can't actually get it to work. I tried it on the original Game Boy, I tried it on the Game Boy Pocket, I tried it on the Game Boy Color, I tried it on the Game Boy Advance, I even tried it on the GameCube. But no matter what I did, I couldn't get it past the title screen, so I'm really disappointed. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But anyway, that was just one of many exciting things that I've got to show you in this week's episode. But before we get into the rest of it, here's a quick word from my channel sponsor, BiFrost Bridge Studios. So you may remember last week I showed off their new comic, Metroid Evolution. It's now available to buy over on their Gumroad website, and they also sent me over this preview for one of their upcoming comics as well. Go and check them out over on Gumroad and Patreon, links are in the description. And now let's take a look at all of the other exciting games that I picked up from Vintage Gamer. So let's start first with a few games for the Dreamcast that I picked up while I was there. The first one is, I'm going to struggle to pronounce this, Suzuki Alstare Extreme Racing. And the reason I picked this game up is the fact that it was made by Criterion Games, and this was actually the game they made before they broke out and made the Burnout series, which is an incredible series of games. I absolutely love my racing games, so it was really fascinating to go back and play this and see where Criterion got their start before they branched out into the Burnout series. It's a really good game, I was really impressed with what I played. It runs at a silky smooth 60 frames a second, and it's just another game that reminds me that the Dreamcast is such a good console and it really deserves more love. Maybe I should do a top 15 Dreamcast games episode in the near future. And the other game that I picked up for the Dreamcast, and another game that I would definitely consider a hidden gem, this one is SEGA Extreme Sports. And this is one that I don't really see around very often at all, and it definitely goes under a lot of people's radars when they're thinking about the system. But this game absolutely blew my mind when I first played it the other night. I couldn't believe how inventive and how much fun this game was. It's a really fun arcadey racing game that just screams Sega. So you start on a snowboard, and then once you reach the midpoint in the stage, and this is where my mind was just blown, you get off the snowboard, you run up to a hand glider, and then you jump off the cliff and the stage continues. I was just blown away, and then when you're flying through the air, you land on the ground at the end of it, and then you get onto an ATV, and then the race continues through the desert, and I was just like, this is amazing. How have I not heard about this game before? And there's loads of different sports that you can play in this game. I love the way that it brings it all together throughout the different races. I really did enjoy this one. Now, this next thing isn't really a game as such, and they actually were really kind and gave me this completely free of charge. This is the box for one of the other Datel games that I've got called Space Invasion. In fact, the version that I've got of this is Space Invasion and Karate Joe 2 in 1 pack, so I'm still looking for Space Invasion on its own. So if anyone knows where I could find that, let me know down below, or let me know over on my Discord. There'll be a link in the description to that as well. But anyway, I was so excited to find this. It was just in one of the random drawers in one of the many rooms in Vintage Gamer, and I was just so happy to have this, and when he said I could have it for free, I was just, yes please, I love it, I really do, and I would love to get all of the other boxes as well. I'm not sure if you can see, but here, I'll do a close-up of it, I have the Full Time and Hang Time one. They're the only two that I've actually got the boxes for, so I would love to try and get the full set. In fact, there's also one other thing from Datel that I really need, and I actually saw it pop up on eBay the other day thanks to someone letting me know over on Twitter, and maybe if I get enough money from Patreon next month, I'm going to put a bid in on that. So if you'd like to support me on Patreon and help me fund my ridiculous journey to collect all of these unofficial Datel games, there's once again another link in the description. Now, while we're on the topic of Game Boy, of course I couldn't go game shopping without picking up a few more Game Boy games. I've got 5 here. and I'll quickly go through them. They're nothing too exciting. They're just a few games that I didn't have for my collection, and they're all UKV. In case you don't know what I mean by UKV, I'm talking about the writing on the side of the label there where it actually says UKV, and that denotes the region that the games were sold in, and I'm trying to get a full set. So the games I've got here are Tasmanian Devil, Island Chase by Sunsoft. This game was extremely difficult from what I've played so far, and I don't know how kids managed to play through this game back in the day. The other thing that also really stood out to me with this game is the fact that it only runs at 30 frames a second, which is kind of uncommon for Game Boy games. Usually they run at 60, but that does mean that the graphics and the quality of the graphics is a little bit better than you would expect. Overall, a pretty average game, I'd say, and definitely one on the harder side of Game Boy games. Now I'll talk about these two next. These are two different Formula 1 games for the Game Boy. One of them is Ferrari Grand Prix Challenge by Acclaim, and the other one is F1 Pole Position by Ubisoft. And from what I've played of these two, I preferred this one, F1 Pole Position. I just think it controls a little bit nicer. But both of these games are pretty good, and it's always really interesting to see how developers tried to make 3D games on the Game Boy. So let me know down below in the comments which one of these two games you thought looked best. They were dirt cheap really, and they're just two for my collection, but like I said, I'm always interested to see how they made these sort of racing games work on the original Game Boy. This one's a really boring game, but apparently it's also worth quite a bit, but he bundled it in. This one is simply called Goal. It's by Jaleco, and I honestly had no idea what I was doing. I'm rubbish at football games, I never know who I'm controlling or anything, so that's it. I don't really have much to say about that one. And the last game here, I used to love playing this on the NES back in the day. This is Track and Field for the Game Boy. I love just mashing the buttons as fast as I can to get to the end of the track and doing all of the different competitions. I loved it on the NES, and I know that if I had the Game Boy one back in the day, I probably would have loved this one as well. 4 games for the GameCube. I'm going to start with the most interesting one. This is a Japanese game for the GameCube, and it was also quite expensive, but I was so excited when I saw this one in the cabinet in the front of the shop. This is PC Kid for the GameCube, released exclusively in Japan as part of one of Hudson's ranges. They also released a few other games which are kind of remakes of some of their best titles from the PC Engine days, and this game it's okay. I don't think it's as good as the PC Engine Bonk games or PC Kid games. It seems very slow to play, so if you don't mind your platformers having a slower pace than usual, maybe you'll find some enjoyment with this. I did really like the graphics and the music, but in terms of gameplay, I think I'd rather play the original. But even so, still really happy to have it as part of the collection. And I just love how Japanese GameCube games look. Just look how nice this little package is here with the tiny little instruction manual and the little disc there, and then the little cardboard insert which goes like that. And now this next game was another game that I was really excited to get, and this one was actually from the guy who owns the shop, Nick. This was actually from his personal collection that he very kindly showed me. I don't have any footage of that because I wanted to respect his privacy and his collection, but I was really excited when I saw this, and I think he could tell I was as well, so he very kindly sold this to me for a really good price. And the reason I was so excited to find this game is because, yes, once again, you probably guessed it, this is an unlicensed Nintendo game made by Datel, and this one is called Max Play for the GameCube, and I don't think these games were actually released anywhere else. The games themselves are absolutely awful, but I just think it's a really interesting thing to find, and it's just a really unique thing that no one else really knows about, and I'm pretty sure it didn't sell very well. I don't think you could just buy this in game shops. I think this was just like a magazine subscription thing that you could mail off and get it sent in the post, or maybe you could get it from their Code Junkies website back in the day as well. So I'm really excited to have this for my collection, even though, like I said, the games are all a bit rubbish. I did also do a full gameplay video over on my gameplay channel, so if you want to see just how bad these games are, you can go and check that out. I think I actually titled the video something like, I found the worst GameCube game of all time, and that is not clickbait, I can promise you that. 2 more GameCube games before I move on to some more really exciting stuff that I can't wait to show you guys. The 2 that I've got left here are Puyo Pop Fever, a game that I've wanted for a long time, and I got this one for a really good price because the disc was a little bit scratched, but thankfully it still plays perfectly fine. I'm sure you all know what Puyo Pop is. It's a brilliant puzzle game series by SEGA, and the GameCube version is just as good as any of the other ones. It's really cute and colourful, and this was actually one of the last games that came out officially on the Dreamcast, and I would love to get the Dreamcast version at some point as well. And unfortunately this game isn't too exciting and it doesn't really play that well either, but I love my racing games. This is V-Rally 3 for the Gamecube, and the reason I say it doesn't play very well is because the steering is extremely twitchy. I couldn't even finish the first qualifying lap. That's how bad I was at this game. I'm sure if I played it more, or maybe if I used a steering wheel rather than a GameCube controller, I could probably get a little bit further, but as of now I really didn't think very much of this game. Let me know if you've ever played it before, let me know what you thought of the controls as well. Now these next few things aren't exactly games, these are actually instruction manuals that I found in a cupboard in the back room, and I took them all to the counter and he was a little bit reluctant to sell them to me, but he actually did a really good price for these, and these are in immaculate condition. And I've actually used the RetroProtect Game Boy manual covers that I showed off in the last episode to protect these. So rather than open them all up, I'll just go through which ones I picked up. So I got Nemesis, I got Super Mario Land, and these are basically brand new condition. They really are amazing. I got Metroid 2, I got Turrican, Mega Man 2, Mario Land 2, 6 golden coins, Mercenary Force, which is a really underrated game for the Game Boy. Definitely recommend giving that game a go if you're looking for something a little bit more unique. I also got Snoopy's Magic Show, which is another really good game, Balloon Kid, of course, absolute classic, Killer Instinct, Bomberman GB, and the last one I got was Golf. And they also let me have this little Game Boy camera leaflet absolutely free of charge, which is really cool. I think this was a little freebie in the magazines back in the day. So really happy to have these. I actually do have the boxes for all of these games stacked up back here, so when I move house, when I can get all those down, I'm actually going to put all these back in the boxes and I can have a nice full completing box set for all of these games that I've got here. So some of you might remember in last week's episode I ran a competition to win some manual protectors from RetroProtect, and I've put all of your names on little ducks that are racing across the screen right now, and the winner is... I don't actually know who the winners are yet, but your names are up there, so look out for a reply on your comment in last week's video and I will arrange to get these sent over to you very soon. Congratulations. And before we move on to the next thing, some of you might remember as well from last week's episode that there was a mystery box that I didn't show off. And I've actually got permission now to show you what was in that box, so let's take a look. Right, now we're taking a look at the next box I've got here. This one is from a company called Fanhome, and they sent me over something really cool, so let's take a look at this. So Fanhome's a company that's making really nice collectible figures for a series of different games and films and comics, and if you like the look of these and you want to sign up and get an early bird special discount, you can use the code PROMOSTREET to get an early special discount on these, and they are really cool. I'll do some unboxings and some close-ups so you can see what they look like, and they also came with a really nice collectible magazine for each of the figures as well that goes into loads of detail about the characters and what games they came from and all of their history, all of the different appearances throughout the different games. There's a nice poster there as well, so it is a really nice package. And of course there was another one there for Ken as well, and there was also a third one to go through the entire Street Fighter collection that they've got. So it's really cool, and this actually folds out into a really nice big poster as well. So I'll try and get that in the shots. There you go, if you can see that. So isn't that just really cool? They seem like a really good company. They've only just started up, so definitely go and show them some support over on their website. It is Fanhome, and you can go to their website at fanhome.com, so definitely go and check them out. There'll be a link in the description. And the final thing, and the second holy grail that I was so excited to tell you guys about, I was just amazed to see this, and I know it was super expensive, but I just couldn't not get it. This is Biomotor Unitron for the Geo Pocket Color. This is one of the rarest games for the system, and apparently it's a really good game, kind of similar to the Pokemon games. I haven't actually played it yet because I'm planning on getting a mod for my Geo Pocket Color to allow it to have a backlit screen, because at the minute I've only got the basic model and the screen isn't really that good. But what I decided to do in the meantime is actually get a ROM for this and play it on the RG351P, which I did a video about a few weeks ago. I haven't really had much of a chance to play this game yet, but I am really looking forward to it, and let me know if any of you guys know much about Biomotor Unitron. All I know is it's extremely expensive and extremely hard to come by, especially in as good condition as this one fun is. Thank you all so much for taking the time out of your day to watch this video. I really do appreciate it. Please subscribe if you enjoyed it. Please consider checking out Patreon if you want to support me and see some behind the scenes videos. I really do appreciate each and every one of you, including all of these amazing people at the bottom of the screen right now. And I'll see you all next week for the next episode, which will actually be a full tour of Vintage Gamer. I actually took my camera around and got some amazing footage, and I can't wait to show it to all of you. So that's it for now. I'll see you all next week for the next episode. Goodbye!